Hey, what's up? It's Todd coming to you from Budapest, Hungary. It's actually 2 a.m. Saturday night. I want to talk to you about something that is absolutely near and dear to my heart, which is cold approach and why it is a cheat code to game. It's literally something evolution was never designed to allow, and it is an unfair advantage for you in your dating life. It has been that way for me for 18 years. I've gotten results that are way beyond what I possibly deserve as a man, and it can be that way for you as well. I'm going to show you how and talk to you about that in this video. So let's check that out right now. So I'd like to start this video off with a little story. See, last week we did London immersion program, and I had a student on that program who, by the way, was an Indian guy. And I mentioned that because I get a lot of guys coming to me on program that are Indian or Asian that think their ethnicity is holding them back. So this was an Indian guy. Coming into the program, he'd slept with 7 girls in his lifetime. On the program, which is a 7-day program, he slept with 5 different girls. So out of 30 years of doing things the normal way, slept with 7 girls. On the 7-day program, he slept with 5 different girls. And I saw some of these girls, they were quite cute as well. So he really stepped it up and really just basically changed his life with women by implementing cold approach, and implementing cold approach the right way, obviously with some good guidance. But the point is, his whole life he'd been doing things one way, which is the normal way. He did it through this cheat code for 1 week and immediately got insane results. Now, does everybody get that big of results that quickly? No, not necessarily. But the point is, cold approach is a cheat code and is a tremendous, tremendous advantage. In fact, it's not what evolution was meant to have you do. So in order to understand that, let's look at attraction and where it comes from, all right? So attraction triggers in women basically come from what would have been good survival and reproduction traits in men, basically in the environment in which we evolved, which is like something between 10,000 to 10 million years ago over time, all right? So girls are looking for particular traits in guys that make sense in that environment. And that's an environment where we lived in small little social groups, right? And in that environment, you can't be anything you're not, right? Everybody you know has known you since you're 2 years old, or actually since you're 0 years old. They've known you your whole life. They've known every time you wet the bed, every time you messed up on a hunt, every time you fucked up anything in the tribe, right? You can't be someone you're not, right? Everybody knows who the chief is. Everybody knows who, you know, the kid that was picked on as a kid is. And so you can't really convey yourself as something you're not. In fact, if you try to be all confident and uppity and you're not that person, you'd probably get punched in the face or exiled from the tribe. However, we do not live in that environment anymore. We live in an environment, a world of 7 billion people where everybody is essentially a stranger. And now, when you walk up to a girl, you can be anybody you want to be. You walk up to a girl randomly on the street today, she doesn't know that you wet the bed when you were 12 years old. She doesn't know that you were picked on in high school. She doesn't know that you had terrible acne. She doesn't know that you were a virgin until you're 25. She doesn't know any of this shit. All she knows is there's a guy walking up to her right now that is displaying confident mannerisms and approaching in a way that is attractive, and she will get attracted by that. And in fact, it's specifically the cues from that evolutionary environment that you would have had to have been someone to have pulled off that behavior in that evolutionary environment that is helping you, okay? So you literally can be anyone you want with any given girl. It doesn't matter how your last approach went. It doesn't matter how your entire life up to that point went. If you know how to do a cold approach with any kind of reasonable skill at all, you are automatically an alpha male to her. You are automatically sexy to her, and you can turn it on in the blink of an eye. The other great thing about being in this tribe of 7 billion people is that in this tribe, there are 3.5 billion women. That's a lot of fucking women, right? That means you are never going to run out of women. You can always go find a new, incredible, hot girl to cold approach at any time in your life, right? And this is in stark contrast to guys that have a social circle type game, or guys that meet girls through their work or through friends of friends, that kind of stuff, right? Let's say you have to meet girls through your work, and you work in an environment where there are maybe 50 women. Well, that gives you a dating pool of 50. Doing cold approach gives you a dating pool of 3.5 billion. It almost doesn't matter how good you are with 50. Even someone who's mediocre and just talking to 3.5 billion is going to do better than you. It's just flat out a fact, right? It's just such a bigger pool to draw from. You almost can't do worse, right? So a guy, even if he's pretty awful at cold approach, but he's just willing to do the approaches, willing to put himself in front of a lot of girls, just on sheer numbers, just on sheer volume of approach, is gonna do better than even like the most attractive guys in social circles, right? In terms of quality as well, but especially in terms of quantity, right? It's such a huge advantage. It's such a huge difference in your life to have all of that available to you. I mean, as an example, look at me, right? I'm a pretty normal average guy in a lot of ways. I'm like 5'7". I'm maybe slightly better than average looking, maybe at a stretch. I'm in okay shape, not even that great a shape. I'm pretty like pasty white skin. There's nothing really that special about me. If I have one advantage, maybe I'm a little bit smart, maybe, right? But I'm pretty much your average ass guy. And I have been with hundreds and hundreds of women, including models, actresses, super hot successful women, athletes, whatever your type is, whatever you consider a hot girl, I've pretty much had that. Going back to history, that's the dating life of a fucking Roman emperor, right? That's the dating life, not quite of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan beat me a little bit, right? But pretty much like the conquerors and emperors of the world, the kings of antiquity had the dating life that I have. And who am I? I'm just some dude. I'm just some dude. I have the dating life of kings. Why? Because when I was 18 years old, I decided to start walking up to girls and trying some shit. And I wasn't amazing at it at first. I was pretty shitty at it. But even being pretty shitty at it, I started getting dates. I started getting phone numbers. Not on a high percentage, but I started getting more dates and phone numbers than even the most attractive, coolest guys in fraternities in my college. Right? Think about that. Think about that. They were cooler than me, they were more attractive than me, they had been laid before, I was a virgin at the time, but I was getting more phone numbers, more dates, more opportunities with girls by orders of magnitude than they were, simply because I was willing to approach. Never mind as I started to learn and get good at cold approach and figure out how to actually have, you know, reasonable percentages. Oh my God, like the world is your oyster once you get to that level. So think about that. Think about that, right? If you look at like life and evolution, and you could say that, you know, the whole purpose of evolution and genetics is to, you know, have sex, get your genes in the next generation, you basically are cheating the entire system. You basically are having the life that is orders of magnitude better than you're supposed to have, that is a success beyond anything that should possibly have ever been attainable to you in any way, shape, or form. That's pretty crazy to think about. Despite everything I've just said, what I hear from a lot of guys, and what you may be thinking as well, is, but Todd, it's just not that easy. It's a little bit hard for me. And it's true, at the beginning when you're not very good at it, it is a little bit hard. And in a minute, I'm gonna talk to you about what I did at the beginning that made it much, much easier for me and will probably work for you as well. But before that, I wanna give you a little bit of perspective on that. So yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world. However, if you look at what you're doing here in the grand scheme of things, right? Again, on an evolutionary level, literally having sex with girls and getting your genes in the next generation is something that every single man on the planet is biologically, they're programmed to compete at that. You're literally competing in the toughest, most widely played game in the entire world. And you have a cheat code to actually get you there. Let's look at the alternatives. What are the alternatives to this cheat code if you want to sleep with a lot of girls? Become rich and famous? You think that's easy? That's orders of magnitude harder than learning to walk up to girls is. So the point I'm making to you is, yes, it's not like, you know, 2 + 2 is 4 easy, but compared to every single alternative that can get you similar results, it is orders of magnitude easier, okay? It's much, much, much easier than those other options. So even if it's not easy, it's easier. However, how can you actually make it easy? What is going on in this process where guys struggle with it? Basically, here's what happens, okay? You start out, if you're like a total beginner, you start out maybe at this level in game, right? And maybe the threshold for getting sex is like this level. What happens is you're probably improving, right? You improve from here to here, you improve from here to here. But if you're measuring yourself against the standard of sex, a move from here to here increased your sex by 0. A move from here to here increased your sex by 0, right? And so it's very easy to get discouraged. And this is what I actually see. It's so shocking to me. So many guys, as they're getting better and better and better, and they're just reaching that level where they're almost over the hump, they're almost ready to get there, right? They're this close to getting it, and they get frustrated because like, oh, I've been trying and trying and trying, and I'm still not having sex. What they don't realize is they've gotten much closer. And what they should be looking at is redefining their short-term goals a little bit so that they actually become measurable and they see success. Here's what I mean by that. When I first started out, I had trouble even talking to a girl. And so I wasn't measuring like, did I have sex or not? I was measuring, I was terrified to talk to a girl and couldn't start a conversation, and now I can have a 20-second conversation. Massive victory. I'm so proud of myself. And then once I could do that, then I was saying like, okay, cool, now I can have a minute conversation. And then now I can ask for a number without like shitting my pants. And now I can actually get some numbers. And now I can actually get some dates. And so every step along the way, I was setting a goal that's measurable to me and where I see success occasionally. So instead of having this thing where it's like, I'm here, the threshold is here, and I'm seeing failure, 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 what I was seeing is success at getting a conversation, success at getting a longer conversation, success at getting a phone number. And each and every one of those was encouraging to me. And each and every one of those told me I was on the right path. So many guys are going out, and because they're evaluating themselves against, did I have sex or not? This is a very binary thing. They're just seeing failure, 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 as opposed to reasonable goals where they see success, success, success. That's important in terms of just you logically staying the course and seeing that there is, a light at the end of the tunnel. It's also important biologically, because when you succeed as a man, as a human being, your body floods itself with chemicals that tell you success is possible and tell you you're more alpha and tell you you're more capable next time. And the more alpha and successful you appear, the more your next approach is going to be done with confidence, and the more you're going to start stepping into that role of alpha male. And it's actually this beautiful feedback process. So what I'm suggesting to you is this: whatever level you're at, you want to set goals that you can actually hit as often or more often than not. They should be a challenge to you. They shouldn't be so easy they're boring, but they should be goals where you can see measurable success and measurable progress, because that's what's going to keep you going. If you're seeing measurable improvement and measurable results, now you're going to stay with it. And that's really the biggest thing. If you have the right process and attitude and you stay with it, you will get there eventually. Now, if you want to get there faster, obviously you want to add in skill, add in good coaching, have a system, that sort of a thing. But the biggest thing is that you stay the course, you stay encouraged, and you keep going towards that end result that is inevitable. And if you are seeing improvements, right? If you are seeing improvement, you're on that right path, and every week, every month, you are considerably better than you were the last week or the last month, that makes it a much easier path to stick on. So changing your attitude and outlook will make a massive difference in how hard it appears. The other thing I would tell you in terms of it appearing hard is give yourself a reasonable timeline. Give yourself a reasonable timeline. If you're a guy in your 20s, 30s, even 40s, if it takes you a couple years to get good at this, you have the whole rest of your life to have the most insane sex life ever. And it should not take you years. It should take you months. Or even shorter if you're doing it really the right way. But even if it did take you years, then you have the entire rest of your life to have a great sex life, right? Guys go to medical school for 6 years for the hope of maybe, someone will be impressed and it'll work out with a few girls here and there. You, in a matter of months to maybe a year or two, can have the abundant sex life of a fucking feudal king if you just stay the fucking course. All right, so yeah, it's a little hard at first, but compared to the alternatives, it's fucking easy. And if you set up the right goals, you're gonna see success along the way, you're gonna see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you should be encouraged every step of the way. That's what I did as I was learning. I wasn't that good at first. I was really, really bad, but I saw a victory there. I saw progress, and that made me stay with it, and it made it fun for me. Right? When you're winning, when you're seeing success, it makes it fun for you and it makes you want to stay the course. So that's absolutely critically important. And then again, obviously, get good coaching, get a system, those kind of things where you are cutting years off your learning curve. That's absolutely important as well. But if all you did was stay the course, at least you'd get there fucking eventually. All right, so I just want to encourage you, number one, understand what cold approach is and understand the possibility and understand you're so lucky to have this available to you, and especially to be in a world where not only is it available, but you have all these resources to teach you it and make you learn it faster. And then secondly, have some perspective, understand you don't have to be amazing next week, you just have to be 5% better than your previous self next week. You do that enough times, you're going to be good really fucking fast.